All right, let's go to the phone lines right now. Coach Fishel, is this you?
Yes, sir.
All righty, how goes it, my brother?
It's going well. It's nice to be on with you guys, and hope you guys are doing well.
Well, we're doing well, but we're not doing as well as you are. I mean, you got a team in the district championship game, one game away from going back to the regionals for another year.
Well, I tell you what, I really enjoyed listening to you guys talk about man-to-man defense. I think I could listen to sports talk radio about man-to-man defense all day. So I enjoyed that, and I enjoy your guys' take on that. And, excited for this opportunity on Saturday.
Okay, let me ask you, because so many high school coaches have different philosophies on this. With the South Range basketball program, you took over a really, really successful program with Coach Matizzi there. What have you installed for your youth coaches? What have you told them in regards to kids playing man-to-man defense at an early age?
Well, it's our major focus, and if they come across the need to play some zone, we'll let them, but that's basically the only thing we want them doing is playing man-to-man defense. And, we break it down from the beginning with the fundamentals, the proper stance, and leading with the proper foot, and we just try to build on that as they get older and a little bit more athletic.
We were talking about some creative ways to kind of instill the zone defense and the man defense in the youth. What kind of drills do you find that work when trying to instill man-to-man defense in the youth players?
Well, I think the number one thing we focus on are different actions that are popular that offenses run. Pick and rolls, pass and cut, pass and screen away. And so a lot of the drills that we do are the fundamental basis of how we'll defend those. And what that does is we don't necessarily have to have a scouting report per se for what our opponents will run against us, because all the plays involve the same actions, and we know how we'll defend particular actions within a play. So that helps us, and when our youth players can learn how to defend a cut by jumping to the ball and not getting cut over top of, that's a great building block to have a great man-to-man defense when they get older.
Okay, now, Coach, obviously the biggest part of playing defense is you must be able to communicate, especially if someone's about to throw a pick your way. Defensive players on the floor have to talk with each other, and they have to communicate. And it drives me nuts trying to tell kids that normally talk during practice and normally talk during classrooms and normally talk. But when you're on the basketball floor, they suddenly become shy kids. I'm like, listen, just talk out there and tell everyone what is expected. It drives me nuts when I don't hear people talking on defense because it's so important.
Yeah, every game we put on the board ELO, which stands for early, loud, and often, which means we better be talking early in a possession, we better be loud enough that we can hear it, and it better be often so we don't forget it. And, every once in a while you'll see somebody forget or be late on calling out a screen, and one of our girls will get hammered. And, when that happens, it's obvious that you didn't communicate and kind of put you on an island with a spotlight on you. So we've done a really good job all season long of communicating the right way on defense. And, it's one of the strengths that we have that make us a better defensive team. And I think, regardless of what type of defense you're in, the more you talk, the better you are on D.
Ron talked earlier about the success of this program even before you took over. This is I believe it's the 6th district championship game the Rangers are going to play in the last 8 years. And if you won, it would be the 5th district championship in those 8 years that you guys have won. What's it kind of like now in your second year taking over a program that had such established success and just being able to build on that?
Well, I think it's the standard that's kind of been here for a while, and it's fun to be a part of. And this time of year, when the pressure starts building up a little bit, that enjoyment kind of comes because you get that flow, the blood flowing a little bit, and the adrenaline's going a little bit more. And you guys know this. I'm a lifelong Raider, and it's a true blessing for me to be the head of this program with the rich tradition that it has. And so this is a fun ride for me, and we're just making sure that we stay focused and give the girls every opportunity that we can to put them in a successful situation on Saturday.
You kind of answered the question that I was going to ask, which is it begs an obvious answer. I mean, it's so much better when you're emotionally involved in this, not just as a coach, but as someone that graduated from this school. It just means that much more.
Yeah, it is something that I grew up with and enjoyed as a fan, so to speak. And so, at this point, when things like that happen, I've been able to kind of step back and look at things from a fan's point of view and just enjoy this and say, I remember how much fun it was watching these girls win in the past, and the fact that I'm part of it now, it's just, obviously, like you said, Ron, it's very enjoyable, and it's a pretty neat experience for me personally.
Now, your first couple of tournament games so far have been lopsided. That you've been playing teams that have lacked on talent-wise compared to you guys. When you look at games like that, obviously it gives you time to put young players in and give them valuable tournament experience for years to come. But is it also a chance to kind of dive into the film and see how well the team is executing the really small things that need to happen no matter who you're playing or how big the talent gap is? Is this an opportunity where you can really dive into film and pick it apart with the little things during these kind of games?
We always say that we're preparing for the best team on our schedule. And so when we're playing teams early in a tournament that, without being disrespectful, we basically know before the game that if something goofy doesn't happen, we're going to win the game. We want to make sure we use those games as a chance to make sure that we're perfecting what we're trying to perform at. And I think I heard you guys talking the other day that, I was not happy that Mineral Ridge had 10 points in the first half against us. And so what that does is allows us to say, where are we breaking down defensively that we need to fix so that when we play East Palestine, who's got really good guards and can shoot the ball really good, that they don't take advantage of the mistakes we're making. And, you have to look at every game and every practice as a chance to figure out where you can improve at. And we say we've got to fix our weaknesses and enhance our strengths. And so anytime you get a chance to see some stuff on film, you get an opportunity to do that and become a better basketball team.
See, now some folks will look at you and say, wait a second, you just only gave up 10 points. Why the hell are you so upset? But I like the idea that you're not satisfied with something, even though you're up by plenty, you're still not satisfied with the way your kids played. And that to me is that one of the major differences between a team that is a championship caliber team and a team that wants to be championship caliber team. Some folks that want to be that championship caliber team, some programs are going to be more than satisfied with giving up 10 points in the first half. You, on the other hand, you weren't, and that tells me why South Range is a different cut than most of the programs around here.
Yeah, and it wasn't even honestly the 10 points that upset me. It was the breakdowns that we had defensively that allowed the 10 points. I would much rather play defense the way we're supposed to and have them hit some shots with a hand in their face and proper closeouts than play poor defense and have them miss shots. And so when we see things that we're not doing well, whether or not the ball goes in or not, we've got to fix it. And we've got to make sure that we defend each possession the way we're supposed to.
Now, when you look ahead to the district championship game, you got a Brookfield team coming in that, man, they got a big win for their program. Ken Forsyth has not beaten Crestview in his whole coaching career. Finally got that monkey off his back. They beat Crestview to get to this point. When you're playing a team that is carrying so much momentum into this game, is it is there stress on you guys to match that intensity right out of the block?
Well, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but when I got on the phone here and called you guys up, I shut the door here in my office, and my office just so happens to be in Brookfield. So I've known Coach Forsyth for a couple years now, and I know most of their players, and I'm friends with a lot of the families that'll be there cheering those girls on against us on Saturday. And they're a young team, and Coach Forsyth has done a tremendous job building that program and getting them to where they're at now. And as young as they are, that's really impressive. He's done a great job with them, and they're super talented. They're one of the top to bottom most talented rosters that I've seen in my 2 years of coaching. And it's going to be important for us because they're young and hungry to come out early in the first quarter Saturday and match their intensity, because they're going to play really hard and they're going to be really excited.
Sophia Hook obviously is one of the better players, not only in Trumbull County. She won Player of the Year for the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference Gray tier, and that's a pretty good honor considering the fact that Krista Perry is in that same conference and a number of other really, really good ball players. She demands attention. She scored 24 last night against Crestview. She can create her own shot. She's kind of a younger version, 2 years younger to be exact, of Izzy Lamparty.
She's really good, really good. I can't say the word really enough about how good she is. She is a tremendous player, fantastic work ethic, if I could talk. She's in the gym all the time. Tremendous young lady, and they've got a good handful of other girls on that roster who are really good, and propose a real threat to us. I made a mistake last night. I was back and forth between, was I going to stay up late and watch film or get up early and watch film? And I decided to stay up late and watch film. And I'd seen her 3 or 4 games already this year, and I know how good she is and how good they are and how well coached they are. But after watching their film last night, I didn't sleep too good. So definitely understand the challenge ahead of us. And I should have got some shut eye and woke up early to watch film. I had a better night's sleep, because watching her and how good she is and how good her teammates are. They're a tough team.
We talked about this a little bit in your coaches' corners in this season, but for people that don't know, you were a freshman coach for 8 years before you took over this team. And as a freshman coach, every year you get a new team. You don't get the layover. What was it like this year, getting the kids back for a second year and being able to see them grow even more from year to year than you would normally see, brand new freshman class come in for the freshman teams?
Yeah, honestly, I was caught off guard the first week of practice, because I was so used to that freshman, first week, second week, installing from the base, getting in the fundamentals that we need, and resetting that every year. And our first practice this year, I kind of had that plan in place, and I was like, holy crap, we already know how to do this stuff. And so we were able to kind of go to the advanced stuff a lot sooner in the season this year. And the thing of it is, we're still not a flashy team. You talked earlier that we're going to press and we're going to play man-to-man defense, and we're not going to catch anybody by surprise, and we don't do anything too exotic, and we just do things to as close to perfection as we can on a nightly basis at practice to translate to how we're going to perform in a game. And so, being able to just jump into that focus, already having the fundamentals in place, was a huge advantage to us early in the year.
Jeff Fishel, the head basketball coach for the South Range girls basketball program. He joins us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. You brought up freshman basketball, and I can probably count on one hand the amount of teams in Divisions 3 and 4 that only have a freshman basketball team. It seems that most programs have a junior high program. They don't have enough freshman participation, so the freshmen are playing JV ball, and unfortunately, that's yet another reason why South Range is a team that competes for regional championships year in, year out, and other teams are only competing for district championships. How important is it for you as a varsity basketball coach and someone who had coached freshman-only basketball? How important is that to have a freshman-only basketball team as part of a basketball program?
Yeah, we were really excited about that, and it's part of our program. I think this is probably, as far as the South Range girls program, this is probably the biggest year of number of players, grades 9 through 12, that the program's had in quite some time. And I got to give our freshmen credit, because at the beginning of the year, we started out, we didn't, for our first 30 practices, we did not have everybody there in any of those practices. We always had 2 girls, 3 girls. Sometimes it was 5 or 6 girls in quarantine. And what that did is it changed the rules of our freshmen early on. We needed some, when we went up to Laurel, we had to play freshmen in that game because our roster was decimated with quarantines. And so then we got some girls back, and they became freshman players, and we lost a couple players, so they became JV players. So our freshman girls were at all 3 levels and getting, 3 different levels of playing time at practice. So it was a tough year for them because even though we had great numbers, 23, 24 girls in a program, there are a lot of times where we only had 16 or 17 at practice. And, a couple of those girls in quarantine were the freshmen, so then the freshman schedule type stuff kind of got put off. But they've done a tremendous job battling through just the unknown of every single day of where they're going to be and where they're going to be needed. And the nice thing about that is that experience. Now, when they're sophomores, Coach Bailey, our old soccer coach, always used to say the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. And that's just going to help our program be at another level when we get to next year.
I feel like this has turned into a defensive episode. We're talking defense so much. Let's talk about a little bit more about your defense. I think you have such good on-ball defenders, especially Bree Kohler. I mean, you can put her on basically anyone's best player, and she can lock them down pretty well. Talk about some of the things that Bree brings to that defense and the unseen things that she does that don't go into the stat book.
Well, I'm fighting for Bree to get first team All-League, and I started working on it this morning statistically. But she, every single game, has guarded the opposing team's highest scoring player, short of Hoban, just because we weren't putting her on the 6'1" girl. And, looking back, I probably should have, since that 6'1" girl had 47 points against us. But every single game, Bree has held our opponent's leading scorer under their season average, and that's her mentality. This is actually in Bree's 4 years her lowest scoring year, but it's her best defensive year. So Bree doesn't get upset that she only scores 2 or 4 or 5 or 6 points a game. Last night Jocelyn Fristic had 3 points when we took Bree out of the game middle of the fourth quarter. That was 12 points under Jocelyn's season average. So to us, that's 12 points Bree scored for us. And her mentality there is fantastic. And the way she can pressure the ball, and last night Lexi guarded the Sherry girl bring the ball up the court. But when we can do that, that just helps every other defender know that, hey, our guards aren't going to get beat very easy, so we can be a little bit more aggressive in the passing lanes. And Bree sets that tone for us as a team defense.
Okay, so here's the $1 million question, and I feel like we're talking to the guru of defense right now, Coach. How do you get your kids to buy into the mentality of playing defense in a world in which everyone wants to hit a 3, everyone wants to score 20 points? I know for me it was so difficult to tell a kid, hey, look, if you score 20 but you give up 20, you're wasting your time because you're a net zero. You haven't helped anybody. You've given up just as many points as you've scored, and they look at you like you're speaking a foreign language or something. How have you gotten your kids to go completely on board with playing hardcore in-your-face defense?
Well, I'll give you an interesting stat. So last year, the way we started this when I got the job is I said I want to set the school record for defensive scoring average in a season. And we took that very seriously. And Anthony knows we have what's called our 40-point club. So our goal every game is to hold a team to 40 points or less. And if we do that, we have a little ceremony. We put up a sticker for the 40 club. And so last year we did break this defensive scoring average for a season. And this year we started out, now keep in mind, Laurel had 72 the first game against us. Salem had 54. Obviously, we had the game in overtime with Hoban where they scored 92. And so our defensive scoring average at the beginning of this season was not very good. And we kind of was an afterthought at that point. I checked the numbers this week. We are beating last year's defensive scoring average by 3 points. Last year we averaged 36 against us. This year we're averaging 33 against us, and that's including those games early in the season. And to answer your question, our defense leads to our offense. If you bust your butt on defense, if you get a steal, if we may force them to take a bad shot, we're going to have a chance to outlet and go. So by playing great defense, we get really good looks on offense. And offense is what gets the kids excited. So we kind of reverse that to say, well, let's get excited about defense so that we can take care of the offense. And they've really bought into it.
I know you always tell your girls that in tournament time, a win gets you 2 practices and 1 more game, and that's the mentality. It's 2 and 1. So you get 2 more practices on tonight and Friday, and then you get 1 more game on Saturday. What's the practice going to look like tonight and Friday, getting ready for this district championship game? And how much does practice change in tournament time when you have a little bit more time between games?
Well, the first thing we're going to do tonight is work on our man offense. Last night East Palestine played man defense against us, and that's the first time in 8 games that we saw man defense. And still not sure what Coach Forsythe's going to do. If you guys talk to him and he gives you any insight, I'd appreciate the tip. But we've got to shore up our man defense because they like to play man, and if they do that, we need to kind of work the kinks out that we have right now, just because we haven't had to run our man offense short of a couple possessions in a game here or there. So we're going to really focus on that at practice tonight. But what happens now this time of year is kind of your fundamental drills that you do all the time. You do those to warm up, but it's a little bit shorter, and the practices become a lot more mental and focused on the scouting report, and we'll talk about tendencies of what they like to do and keys to what we need to do to be successful. And they're fun practices that way because it's really scouting report oriented, and you're excited because you know that if you scout them well and you do things well and you play well, you get to cut down the nets, and that's a good feeling. And to know how good Brookfield is, we know how focused we're going to need to be and how well we're going to need to play. So I think we'll have 2 good practices, and we'll see what happens.
Now, I know that as a coach, you're not supposed to look ahead, but I'm looking at the other district that is going to be going up against your district. And last night, Elyria Catholic was upset by Warrensville Heights, who will now play Creston Norwayne for a district championship. Norwayne is the 3 seed. Warrensville Heights is the 4 seed. Does that kind of I don't even know. Were you looking down the road at Elyria Catholic? And if you were, do you have to do a U-turn and look back on this and say, maybe I'm going to have to take a look while preparing for our team to play Brookfield. Now I'm going to have to take a look at Creston Norwayne and Warrensville Heights.
I have not, last year or this year, gotten film on anybody except for our next opponent. And so I had no Brookfield film until after our game last night, and I reached out and I got some Brookfield film, and who I know this, whoever wins our game Saturday, whether they'll play Norwayne or Warrensville Heights, is going to be in for a heck of a battle. And I know how good Brookfield is, and I know how good we are, and so whoever comes out of our district is going to represent our district very well. And, if it's fortunate enough to be us, Saturday afternoon, I'll get some film, and we'll start diving into that. But we're focused on Brookfield and nobody else right now.
Coach, without giving away the farm or giving away too many secrets, can you give us a couple of keys to victory on Saturday, maybe things that you're looking at for your team that we have to do this in order to beat Brookfield? Not game plan, but just things that your team has to do as a key to victory to win on Saturday.
You did not say this as a Russian spy. You are talking English. We're a spy right now, and we will send you to the Russian front, Anthony. Continue, Coach.
There's no secrets, and it's probably the 2 most popular answers any coach is going to give you. We're going to have to win the turnover margin, and we're going to have to win the rebounding margin. Whatever team can figure those 2 things out is going to be in good shape in the fourth quarter on Saturday. Those are the 2 most important keys.
Turnovers and rebounds, and obviously with rebounds, it's all about boxing out as well, and that's just In a lot of ways, it's a lost art. How much practice do you, or how much time do you commit to the art of boxing out in the early practices before the start of the season, Coach?
Well, we spend some time on it. I'm not going to sit here and act like we don't. We've got the 3-on-3, 4-on-4 drill where a coach or somebody will shoot it, and you got to box out and get the rebound, and you can't get it until it hits the floor once, and if you don't get it, you run it down and back. And then we bring in the next 3, and it's 3-on-3 again, and we'll just do that for a while. But our biggest focus is always on our defensive positioning. And if we defend the right way and don't get out of position, that'll put us in good position to box out and be where we need to be for rebounds. So our rebounding focus is a lot more based on positioning than it is specific box outs.
Now, I know at this point, if your team needs extra motivation, then they're in the wrong spot. But is it a little bit of added motivation to say, we do not want Brookfield cutting down the nets in our home gym as a district champion?
Well, let me tell you this. Here's our first level of motivation, and I got a couple. But how about that end of regulation in that Poland game last night? That was unbelievable. And I talked to Coach Blanche last night, and the first thing he said to me is, "Guess what? Some rival network of yours called, and we're game of the week Saturday." So the first thing we're going to tell our girls tonight is that the phone call immediately went to Poland and not us to be the game of the week. So that's going to motivate us. But it's just it's exciting to have that opportunity to do on your home court. And Coach Franklin and I talked before the tip-off of last night's game, and we both agreed that it would have felt more like a tournament game if we were at the Struthers Fieldhouse. And I'm on record saying that, a big part of me almost wishes that we could play this game there, because that's what girls' district championships in this area are, is Struthers Fieldhouse. But we get a very, very unique opportunity to do that on our home court. And if we're able to do that, I think it'll be something that, our girls treasure just a little bit more than if we did it anywhere else.
All right, so let me ask you, the two tournaments smashed together, combined into one. I am on record as saying, okay, once we get to the district tournaments, every district tournament in both districts has to be at one spot. And for me, I'm with you. The Struthers Fieldhouse would be ideal. Now, some other folks are saying, okay, well, let's do it the old-fashioned way where you have one in the Fieldhouse, one somewhere else. Look, I mean, for me, I just think you got to go and put your district tournaments in one location. I understand you're not doing it this year for COVID reasons. I kind of like the idea of two districts combined into one because you get some interesting matchups. But now let's put the district tournaments next year in one location.
Agree 100%. I'm a fan of the super districts, and I'd be okay if instead of going 1 through 24, two different places, if you put everybody together and seated them top to bottom. However they want to do that, I'm fine with. But let's have a tournament atmosphere and get into a universal venue where everybody's got to play and it feels like a tournament, and it's a special experience for the kids.
Now, you talked about Poland a little bit earlier. What's it mean to a league to be in the league of the NE8 and you have two teams in a district championship in that conference, and to be able to represent the NE8, both of you guys, and hopefully both of you guys able to represent the NE8 with a win?
Well, it's fun. Any time that you get to represent something that you're a part of is a great opportunity, and it's something that should be valued and taken seriously, and our girls know that, and Poland's girls know that, and we're going to wave that NE8 flag everywhere we go, and we're proud of that league and how tough that league is in all sports and the way that league represents itself. So it's a cool opportunity, and it's neat to think about that two teams from Mahoney County in the same league are as good as Poland and we are.
Coach, best of luck to you on Saturday against Brookfield, and we will have Coach Forsyth on at 1:30. So if you want to keep your door closed and you want to listen to our broadcast, maybe we can bring out something that you're going to write down and say, oh, okay, thank you very much for the tip.
if he is listening, he's probably calling somebody to tell him to come into my office at 1:30 so that I can't listen, so he can distract me.
There you go.
I think that's what Brookfield's going to do to me the next day and a half. Is I'm just going to have random people come into my office to distract me because they know that I'll try to be sitting on my computer watching film and won't let it happen. But hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. You two are fantastic. Love listening to you guys, and wish you all the best, and hopefully we can chat again real soon.
All right, Coach, always a pleasure, sir.
All right, we'll see you guys. Thanks.
See you. The coach of the South Range girls basketball program, Jeff Fishel.